Hello YouTube, Millennium X17 here. We're going to do something that's probably long overdue, and that's an update to my gaming computer. In the most recent channel update, I've made mention about how I'm finally now selling my toolbox so I can actually buy the components to get this computer going, which leads me to watch the original video, and it's a little dated. Probably an understatement. So we're going to go into a little explanation as to the updated parts list. A lot of parts are new. Some of them, that I originally wanted have been discontinued, and that's pretty much been the cycle for the last 4 years. So it's a totally different thing to what it was in that original video. So let's update 3 parts that I can guarantee will not change. First and foremost, the case is going to be right there. It is a Leon Lee Armor Suit PCP-80R, a limited edition case from the 2008 Consumer Electronics Show. A wicked, ATI Crossfire X Spider logo on the side of that. That thing's going to be awesome. That is the biggest case that I could find when I originally started this project, and I've had it. It's been in my room, sitting in the corner for the last, since 4 years plus. There's even a ding on the front of it from sitting under my desk all that time. It irritated the hell out of me when I saw it. But, neither here nor there. But the next part I can guarantee won't change is the power supply. It's also been sitting here for the last 3 years. Ultra X4, 1600 watt modular power supply. This pretty much is going to guarantee enough headroom that I can pretty much do whatever, crazy graphics card configuration that I want without having to worry about it. So, the other thing, pretty much not really 100% as it pertains to a gaming computer, but it will be used in conjunction with the computer, so I might as well mention it. That would be an HD PVR gaming edition. So, I've had, again, this thing pretty much I've had for the last 2 years. The concurrent laptop that I have is too slow to run the software for it, so groovy. But anyway, moving on to more important things is the actual components as they stand right now. Like I said, this has changed a lot, and as soon as I make up my mind, I go, okay, we're going to go with this, then it either goes out of stock or gets discontinued, which is just irritating. But let's head to that updated list as it stands right now. Okay, so the inner components to my gaming computer. Now, a lot keeps changing and a lot of things keep going in and out of stock, so this is more likely what it's going to look like, but more often than not, the specifics might be a little bit different, and I will note specifically different things that I'm a little iffy on. But anyway, moving forward, we have the motherboard. It is now going to be an Asus Crosshair 5 Formula Z. It's an AMD with the AM3 Plus socket, because I'm, AMD ATI Radeon type gaming computer is what I'm building here. This one has 4 PCI slots, 2.0, but they're oriented in such a way that I can get triple crossfire in this one, and 4 RAM slots on the board as well. The thing that I just is a little bizarre to me is that while this motherboard is spectacular, I mean, it's pretty damn awesome, it baffles my mind out of all the research that I've done that not a single manufacturer has an AMD board with the PCI 3.0 slots, or for that matter, a board that can do quad crossfire. It's just, it makes no sense to me. But, either which way, that's the way it is, it is. Even triple crossfire, if I actually get 3 of these graphics cards that I would like to get in there, that's still going to be way more than I'll ever need. So it's not like it's a critical thing. I think, if anything else, it just saves me $500 that I'm, not going to use later on down the road, that I actually truly, when you honestly think about it, I don't need, even though I'd probably get it anyway. But either which way. Moving on, the processor itself is going to be the AMD FX 8350, I believe it is. Yes, 8350, 8-core. It's the Vishera 4 GHz. So this one is a pretty damn awesome processor and unlocked from the factory, though I do not know how much overclocking I'm going to be doing. If any, not much. Now, the CPU cooler. I keep flip-flopping and changing it and doing this and that. As it stands right now, I'm going to be going with the Enermax. Let me look up the exact name of the cooler itself. Is going to be the ETS T40VD. It is a 120mm fan heatsink combination there. Heat pipes are actually contacting the CPU directly. All the research that I've done says that this methodology, as pertains to air coolers, works
exceptionally better than just a stock, just a regular old heat plate that's right on the CPU with the pipes going into the plate, and this just seems to work so much better. It transfers heat directly up into the fins, so that's what we're going with. Now the difference though is that the Enermax cooler it comes with, like I said, this one's going to be the VD, the Vegas Duo. They come with 3 different versions. I'm going to get the Vegas Duo, but here's the thing. I'm not using the the Vegas Duo fan. That's probably, I'm guessing off the top of my head, I'm going to put it on the rear of the case as an exhaust fan. I don't know right this second, but the fans that I am going to be used is the LEPA Casino 4C. Now, these fans are 120 millimeter. They're also extreme LED fans. I'm going to be using 2 of them in a push-pull configuration. This leads to a little problem a little down the way. We'll get to that in a second. But the thing I want to say about the LEPA Casino 4C is it's 4C because it has 4 different LED colored LEDs in it. When this thing gets going, it gets going crazy. Look it up online. It's pretty damn impressive. So there is that. Moving on now to the graphics card. This is another thing that keeps switching and moving around and changing, and it's just, as it stands right now, I am looking at the Gigabyte. It's HD Radeon 7970 gigahertz edition. The 7970 gigahertz seems to be the one that I keep gravitating towards. As to what specific manufacturer is still up in the air. As it's, like I said, right now it stands as the Gigabyte is the one that I'm going to go with. I would like to have gone with the Sapphire 7970 gigahertz edition, the one with 6 gigs of RAM, but from every review that I've seen of it online, everybody says that while it is advertised as a 2-slot card, it actually takes up about 2 1/4 slots, given the fact that the heatsink and fan thing coming off that board is so thick that it actually takes up more space than advertised, which making, when you want to go Crossfire X with this card, it becomes very difficult. So, while I would love to have that card, the Gigabyte card and all the other gigahertz editions for the 7970 seem to work just fine. So as it stands right now, there's one less thing I got to worry about on down the road. The Gigabyte card is a 2-slot card, and it doesn't exceed that 2-slot space requirement. And now we get into the part where I said we were going to have an issue with the CPU cooler. I would like to go with the 32 gig kit of the G.Skill Ripjaw Z. Everything I've seen about this memory is it's pretty damn awesome. The problem being, though, is that we're going to run into a little bit of a clearance issue between it and the Enermax fan, more specifically a push-pull configuration. The Enermax, in either a push or pull configuration, seems to cool the CPU very well. The push-pull, however, affects it greatly, and it becomes really, really good cooler at that point in time. But the problem is, in a push-pull configuration, the G.Skill RAM is too tall, and at which point in time it blocks the first RAM slot. What sense does that make? I don't understand why these aftermarket manufacturers want to come up with a product and, okay, it's great and it's awesome and it works, but then it blocks the first RAM slot. I mean, what sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. I can't explain it. After bashing my head up against a wall for a while, I finally stopped for a moment and thought about it, and then eventually I led to the fact that I do like the Enermax cooler. So instead of changing the cooler and trying to find one that actually clears the 40 millimeter height on the G.Skill RAM, I instead flipped it around and said, is there any low profile memory that'll actually fit under there? And upon doing some research, I come across some Crucial Ballistics Tactical LP. The LP stands for, of course, low profile. These are, I believe, only about 28 millimeters tall. They are so low that they fit underneath the clips for the RAM slots. They're that low. So these will work just fine. They fit under the fan without any issues whatsoever. So these are the ones that I'm going to be going with. Same thing though, it's going to be 32 gigs, 4 8 gig sticks. These specifically, let me look them up. I believe the Crucial Tacticals are going to be, it's a DDR3 1600, PC3 12800 is the thing. The G.Skills were going to be 1866, but you know what? Really, when you get honest to it, these are low voltage at 1.35 volts, excuse me. So if I do want to overclock them, they can overclock. The only thing I'm a little worried about is that the heat spreader on these isn't as substantial, obviously, as the Ripjaws, or for that matter, any other extreme RAM. But when you really get down to it, I don't know if I'm going to be doing any seriously crazy overclocking, so I'd imagine with the amount of fans that I'm going to have in this case, it's not going to be an issue. Okay, so the system drive is going to be solid state. I do not know the manufacturer just yet. I do not know the final size. As it stands right now, I have a Mushkin 240 gig Kronos solid state drive. This changes all the time as things go in and out of stock and all that other jive. So as it stands, but this is what I'm going to do. Like Windows and all drivers and everything that supports and makes the system run will be going on to the solid state drive. This will have the computer run faster, it'll boot faster, everything will be so much faster about it. So for data storage itself, again, these keep changing. I'm pretty much set on 2 terabyte hard drives, and there's going to be 2 of them. As it stands right now, Seagate Barracuda at 1700 RPM are the ones I'm going with. Like I said, it keeps changing. We'll just have to see what happens when it comes time to buy. Windows 7 Professional needs no explanation. Keyboard's going to be a Corsair Vengeance K90. Semi-mechanical keyboard. The keys that are not mechanical are the macro keys off to the extreme left-hand side, the F keys across the top, and the the home, delete, and page up, page down keys. Every other key though is mechanical. Cherry red switches. Also of to note, backlit LED. Not even just backlit, but every single key has its own specific LED light to backlight it with. It, from all reports, it's bright. And furthermore, the keys themselves actually have laser etching for the key indicator. So that way, over time, the keys don't actually wear out and you can still see them even after all the extreme sessions that this thing can go through. Moving on to the mouse. Now, excuse me, this is a little bit of a point that I'm not... As it stands right now, this is what I'm looking at, is the Mad Catz Cyborg Rat 7 gaming mouse. Now, this thing is extreme. This thing has infinite customizable points. There's 8 buttons, I believe, on this version, and I don't know if I'm going to ultimately go with this or not, because when you get down to it, this thing is really complicated. I just don't know. It's kind of expensive, $100 for a mouse, but it is a gaming mouse. It is infinitely customizable, so we're going to have to wait and see. I'm still up in the air on this one, but as it stands right now, this is what I'm looking at. The monitor, another thing that keeps changing a little bit here and there. As it stands right now, I'm looking at the Asus 24-inch monitor. The 2 points of interest that lead me to this monitor is this is a gaming computer. So, response time, very important when you're playing games. This monitor, 1 millisecond, very fast. Also, the bezel around the outside of this monitor, very, very, very thin. It's important when I eventually find myself with a bigger desk that I can do a triple iFinity setup with the ATI Radeon graphics cards, which is pretty much what they're intended to do, as well as, push graphics and all that good stuff. Another one, Asus 24X CD DVD burner. Really the only thing I'm going to be needing it for is, I think off the top, is going to be installing Windows and installing drivers and doing a couple other things, and just basic CD drive. It works. It shouldn't really need too much explanation. Now, we lead to this point of the discussion. Case lighting. I'm going to have some sort of, cold cathodes in this computer, as well as the LEPA, Casino 4C fan. I'm also going to have other lights and, gadgets and gizmos in this thing that's going to light it up like a Christmas tree. I just don't know how much light I'm going to get or what colors. It's just, the end of the day, what I'm guessing it's going to probably end up with, that guy in the community that goes way overboard during Christmas, and he just kind of lights up the whole fucking neighborhood. You can spot his house from outer space. That's pretty much what the inside of my computer is going to look like. I'm going to hopefully, go with 1 or 2, but I might have 3 or 4. I just don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. So, as it stands right now, April 2013, that is what I'm looking at for my gaming computer. But like I said, every time I decide on a part, it either goes out of stock or gets discontinued. Groovy. I'd like to see, with, obviously, here's a picture of my case. It's got 10 PCI Express, expansion slots on the backside of this thing. While it wouldn't be, like something I'd look, expanding to all of it, but it's just the fact that no motherboard manufacturer has a motherboard that has, first off, AMD board with the, like I said, with the 3.0 slots, or for that matter, quad cross. I mean, really, I don't understand why they all gravitate towards the Intel side and, the NVIDIA side. It makes no sense. I don't really want to get into fanboy wars on this video, but just for the money, you can't beat the ATI platform. It just works at a considerably less expense. So, like I said, that is the computer as it stands right now. Anything could change, and hopefully sometime this summer I will actually get to the point where I can buy it. So, until that happens, y'all have yourselves a good day.